What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Let's make some ackee patty. Before I get into the recipe, remember to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. So I prepared this dough 2 months now and I kept it in the freezer. I'm going to add some layers of butter to it later on. Now because I'm using fresh ackee, I'm going to go ahead and cook it. So to a pot of water, I added some salt. Once it comes to a boil, I'm going to add the ackee and allow it to cook until tender. So while the ackee cook, I'm going to add some layers of butter to the dough, and as I mentioned, I made this dough 2 months now and I store it in the freezer. Feel free to check out my previous patty recipe for more details. I'm using half a stick of the Earth Balance unsalted butter, and this was also kept in the freezer. It's very important to keep the butter and the dough cold. So one of the advantage of prepping the dough ahead of time is that the gluten will be well developed, which will make it easier for you to work with the dough, as well as creating more flakes and air pockets in the patty. I'm going to save half of the butter for the other layer. So what I'm going to do now is to fold the dough and roll it out once more. So as you work with the dough, the butter will soften up a bit, and to make it easier to roll, just sprinkle some more flour. This will also create smaller layers in the dough. So once you've rolled out the dough again, add the remaining butter. After that, I'm going to fold the dough and place it back in the refrigerator. To better incorporate that last layer of butter, I'm going to roll the dough, fold it, and then as I mentioned, I'm going to put this in the refrigerator to chill until I'm ready to add the filling. Making patty is a lot of work, but in the end, it's definitely worth it. So now that the dough is all prepped, I'm going to put it back in the fridge to chill. In the meantime, let's check on the ackee. Ackee cook. I'm going to drain the liquid and cut up the seasonings. To saute the ackee, I'm using scallion, bell pepper, tomato, onion, garlic, and of course, scotch bonnet pepper. If you don't have scotch bonnet pepper, you can always use cayenne pepper. Everything is cut up, so let's cook up the ackee. Add some oil to your pot. Once it's heated properly, add all those seasonings. Saute for about 2 minutes, followed by the ackee. So here I'm adding some all-purpose seasoning just to give this some extra flavor. That's it for the ackee. Just turn off your stove and allow the heat from the pot to further bring this together. Alright, we're almost there. It's time to add the filling and bake these patties. But what I'm going to do is to divide the dough, and whatever piece I'm not working on, I'm going to put it back in the fridge. And as mentioned, it's important to keep the dough cool, and especially if your environment is humid, because once the butter starts to soften up, it's going to become messy and it's hard for you to work with the dough. Before you add the ackee, make sure it cool down a bit. You don't want to overfill the dough, just add about 2 to 3 decent spoonfuls. I'm going to brush the ends with water just to seal it better. Here I'm using a fork to create that design on the side, and you can dust the fork with some flour just to prevent it from sticking to the dough. Make sure to keep the tray in the fridge while you make the other patties. You want to roll your dough to about 1/2 inch thick. You don't want it any thicker than that. As mentioned, once you put the patty on the tray, put the tray in the fridge. Alright, it's time to bake the patties. You want to bake them at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 25 to 30 minutes. All done. Ackee patty came out lovely. I could not have asked for them to come out any better than this. And that fresh ackee hits different. That's it, my people. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you try and enjoy the recipe. Thank you so much for the continuing love and support, and until next time, bless upon yourself.